It's Averianna, the personality.
Welcome to Streetz 993, your choice for hip hop and R&B. I am your host, Averianna the Personality. Guys, today's guest is a holistic doctor in family practice. She holds 6 degrees in her field and has treated over 30,000 patients using advanced laboratory diagnostics combined with holistic modalities. Yo, we welcome Dr. Erica Steele.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today.
No problem, no problem. So for those who don't already know you, please introduce yourself to the street.
Of course. So welcome, Nashville. Thank you so much for having me. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, or I live here. I'm originally from California, and I'm a holistic doctor in family practice. I've been treating lots and lots of families completely holistically for almost 20 years. It's crazy to even think it's been that long.
That's amazing.
Where does the time go?
That's amazing. Yeah. So we're going to get straight into it. Tell us what transgenerational trauma is and how that applies to us.
Yeah, so I think, this is very prevalent conversation, especially in the Black community these days, in terms of the impact of trauma that we have. So, obviously, there's been slavery, right? Impact multi-generational, affecting families, and it's really affected specifically the Black community in many ways. You see a lot of prevalence of mental health, and you also see a lot of prevalence of substance abuse. You also see a lot of broken homes, fatherless homes, etc. And if you think about it, how does one deal with that level of trauma? Okay, so as a woman of color, your husband's being taken away from you, and your husband's like your provider, your protector, your everything. He's taken away from you. You are kind of stuck in the middle, if you will, and you are in a very fearful state, right? And so how does the mind process all of that, right? It disassociates and goes into, like I said, mental health or then substance abuse, which is why so many of our families are impacted by not only fatherless homes, but also substance abuse, mental health issues, etc. And we still see that going on even in these current generations. And so hopefully with our generation, we can break those cycles.
Right. Hopefully we're all sticking together. So with that knowledge, how do we break free from that?
Well, it's tricky because there's a lot of stigmas when it comes to mental health, when it comes to self-help, especially in the Black community. It's like we don't want to be perceived as weak. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be perceived as less than, inferior. Right. We've got to be tough, etc. So part of it is really getting out of denial. Mm-hmm. And so one of the ways that we get out of denial is we look around at our life, right? We look around at, our career, our relationships, or lack thereof, our, family, our friends. And is this the life that you really want for yourself? Or is this perhaps just the life that you just have and you believe, well, you know what, my mother's mother, grew up in the projects, so there's no hope for me. Mm-hmm. That is a lie. It's a fundamental lie. And that's really why systematic racism partly even exists even till this day, because the bondage of mental slavery is still very much alive in the Black community. And so I think rebounding from that, rebelling from that, and really seeing possibility out of self, right? You've got to turn the darkness into light, mm-hmm. which really is some really deep, powerful self-honesty and self-awareness. When you look around and you're like, is this really what I like? Am I just going to survive, or am I going to thrive in life?
I love it. So on your every day you go to work and you do what you do for your community, but not only for your community, for the world. Share some things that you do on a day-to-day basis that we could possibly apply to our lives to better, go inward and do that holistic healing for each of us.
Yeah, so I think it's important to realize that, you're not a victim to your experience. You're 100% responsible. And so that begins with choosing your day. So every single day I wake up, I live in a beautiful home. I'm so blessed, 2 blocks from the beach, right? So I wake up every morning. I go from my 3rd floor to my 4th floor, and I work out, which increases my dopamine levels in my brain, which keeps me balanced and happy and whole and etc. Right? So I work out, which is movement, increasing my metabolism, etc. And then I meditate, right? So I sit there and I honor God, I give gratitude, and then I also reflect on how I want my day to go, right? So I don't just fall into my day. My alarm doesn't just go off and I get out of bed and, kids screaming and everything else. No, I actually get up in peace and I intend my day. I say to myself, how do I want to feel? So lately I've been working on, I want to feel stable in my day. So I just close my eyes and I go inward and I take some breaths and I try to find that little space of stability deep within myself. And if you're quiet enough, you can find it. Now, here's the challenge. So some people are like, well, I can't quiet my mind down enough, right? If you can't quiet your mind down enough, that definitely is a chemical imbalance within the brain. And that, I'm not saying that's an impact of trauma too, because you're hypervigilant. You're always waiting for something to pop off or something to happen. Yeah. And a lot of people don't sleep because of that. They're just like, they lay down and they close their eyes and they're doing something called sleep, but it's not really sleeping.
Right.
And so if you find yourself in that, right, just simple things. There's some really good teas out there, kava root tea, chamomile tea, lavender tea. Even though there is a place for psychotropic medication, there's a place for pharmaceuticals, there are so many natural things that can help assist the brain to be able to heal. And so I think it's really important to understand that we're not just wanting to medicate ourselves and we're not wanting to just suppress, because the other thing too, that's very distinct in the research when you're looking at the Black community versus, let's say, our Caucasian counterparts, our bodies are very sensitive. We can't take on a lot of toxicity. So a lot of synthetics and things like that in our bodies are not going to do well with. Right. And so we have to be very strategic with the things that we put in our bodies. We need to make sure that we're eating healthy. We need to make sure that we're moving our bodies. We're drinking water. We want to be on more high protein diets, mid-range carb, low fat. So it's really about getting our lifestyle. But in order to get your lifestyle in check, you've got to get your mind in check. You've got to also deal with the trauma and also the perpetuating trauma that we carry on every single day. Some of us, I know myself, before I really healed myself, I just love drama. And if you asked me, I'd say, oh no, I don't like drama. But man, I must have found every dramatic relationship. Yeah. You don't like drama, girl, but why are you over here, arguing with this boy that obviously has no intention of being with you? Right. So, it's like back and forth. We just create it again and again and again and again. And so I think it just all boils down to self-awareness and honesty with ourselves, the true honesty.
I love that, true honesty. Now I want to talk about, the hustle mentality, versus the wealth building mentality. Tell me your views on that.
Yeah, so that's another thing. So now, we in the community, right? We're woke, right? And we're woke, we're entrepreneurs. We want to get out there. We want to do some things, but we're still hustling. Yeah. And it's still a trauma response because we're afraid, right? So it's like, oh, I'm going to hustle over here and grab a couple bucks. Oh, I'm going to hustle over here and grab a couple bucks. I'm going to go hustle over here and and we're just frantic, going from this thing to this thing to this thing. That is not how you build wealth. So we're not talking about the $5, the $10, the $20. I'm talking about the 100,000 to millions of dollars. That takes focus, concentration, stability, consistent, deliberate action over a long period of time. Every single day, I start and end my day the same. Meditation, working out. I listen to self-help all day long, even when I'm not with patients. Every single day I'm focused on whether it's working on my human resources and hiring and firing and training, etc. Or I'm looking at my finances, looking at my P&Ls, my balance sheets, etc. Whether I'm working on my marketing and my team's putting pitches out, or I'm on the radio, or I'm on television, or whatever, doing my social media stuff, right. Or I'm cultivating my research and cultivating myself as a doctor and doing continuing education. Every day I am very purposeful and intentionally building something, brick by brick. Mm-hmm. And you can't build something brick by brick if you're constantly chasing after every rabbit, every deer, every animal that's running by, because not everything that glitters is gold. And so many people, oh my gosh, they've got the next hottest, greatest, latest, you got to do that. Oh, let's get into this. Oh, if that's not your purpose and that's not your calling and that doesn't light you up, say no.
Yeah.
Say no.
It's hard. No. I think it's hard for just within the Black community to say no, because we've been so caught up in that mindset of like, you know what I'm saying? You got to do it what your aunt said, what your grandma said, because you know what I'm saying? It's just always been a constant
conditioning.
Pleasing. I gotta please people. So
because we think that's still in that fabric, right, of slavery. It's like, if I don't please my master, he's gonna do this. If I don't do this, then this is gonna happen to me. That's why Harriet Tubman wasn't playing around. She would, if you were not gonna go, you ain't gonna come with us.
Right.
Sorry for you.
Yeah,
because she knew, in order to get people from one side to the other, it's like, look, you're either with us or you're not, right? Mm-hmm. And even though it's not that dramatic, it still is on that level, right? It's crabs in a barrel. You've got this new generation that's trying to break free, and you've got this older generation that still is in mental slavery.
Yeah.
They're afraid.
Yep.
They're afraid, and they're still perpetuating
the old life cycles.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I see it.
And God bless, God, I don't want to say anything negative towards, because we couldn't be here if they weren't there. Because we could see the polarity, we could see the contrast, we could see, okay, I see what fear does. With my family, I saw the impact of substance abuse. I saw the impact of mental illness. I saw the impact of addiction to food. Right? The diabetes, the hypertension, the hyperlipidemia.
All the things that they say is generational.
Yeah, exactly. Correct. Which I'm trained in genetics and methyl-genetics, and genetics only counts for less than 30%. Both my parents, grandparents, diabetes, both sides of my family. I didn't want diabetes, right? So I learned. I go, oh, okay. So my liver can't process glucose. So the Coca-Colas my mom is drinking every day, like her mind's going bad, that's going to create diabetes eventually. Right. So I'm going to make sure that I'm not putting all that stuff in my liver, because my liver can't handle it. Right.
It goes back to us being sensitive.
Yes, exactly. Totally. And I think that's another piece that's been stripped away from us, right? Our roots, right? Because my family, I'm multiracial. So, my mother's people coming from Africa, but also Native American, and I have a lot of European in me as well. And so it's a real weird dichotomy, because I can see both sides.
Right. That was some amazing information. Dr. Steele, we thank you so much for your time today. Tell us how we can find you on all social media platforms and how we can keep up with all of your knowledge you gave us today.
Yes, for sure. So my practice is Holistic Family Practice. You can find that on Facebook, Holistic Family Practice. I think it's Holistic Family Practices. And then we're also on Instagram under that same handle. And then Dr. Erica Steele, both on Facebook as well as Instagram. And our website is holisticfamilypracticeva.com. And we are located in Virginia Beach, but I treat patients all over the world.
All right, y'all. So it's time out for the pride. If we need to see somebody, let's get out here. Let's go see the people that knows us best, guys. Okay, that was Dr. Erica Steele right here on Streetz 993.